Hey there, how's everybody doing? This is my first video on Arcehage, which is a game I'm actually really digging right now. I went ahead and paid $150 and got the Arcehage Founder pack, which I'm not regretful of yet. I really wanted to get into the game and see what was going on with it. I'd heard a lot about it. And basically the point of this video here is I'm going to go over some of the stuff that I wish I had known when I first started playing the game. Some things that I kind of had to learn the hard way. As you can see here, I have a level 50 character that was on the Eastern Continent. I then ended up re-rolling on the Western Continent. And one of the reasons that I did that is that it comes to find out that a lot of the bigger guilds are going the Western Continent because they have more coastline and they have a quicker access to Friedrich, which is in the middle of this Arcadian Sea here. Now, it might not look like it from the map here, but when you actually get into the playable area, these guys definitely have a quicker route to get to that area in terms of trade routes. So a lot of the bigger guilds were on that side who already had castles and stuff established. So I decided to go over there and try their side out. Let me go ahead and log in on my guy here. Now my first character I ended up making a mage. A lot of people are really like it's called a dagger spell build, which I believe it's sorcery, witchcraft, and shadow play. And the problem I was running into with that character is that melee just tends to tear you up, and there's really not. The game really relies so much on who gets the first hit, or who gets in first, and I just found that against equally geared players, I could get off my set of combos against them, and they could basically live through it. And if they got off their sequence of combos against me, pretty much locked me down CC, there was no way my guy was going to survive through it. So, maybe some people say I'm just bad, but I definitely think that melee has an advantage in this game right now. Now the character that I made here, I went with Oromancy, Shadow Play, and Defense, and I'm going one-handed with a shield and plate mail, and mostly I'm doing that so I can farm stuff. It seems like the majority of mobs in this game are physical based damage, and I was able to farm a lot of the mobs a lot easier with a melee based character than I was able to farm with a magic based character. Now a couple of things for your gear path right now in the game. To make the good gear, you pretty much have to craft it. And the problem with that, let's see, let's go to, let's say we're going to make a plate helm. Now this would be the level 50 plate helm. This is the first one. The one before that's still a good one, but as you can see, it's a level 44 piece of equipment. So let's say we want to do a level 51. These reagents are extremely expensive to craft this stuff. So the gear right now is very expensive. So pretty much your quest gear is going to be the gear that you're going to be using for quite a bit of time. The quest gear you're going to get from over here, this zone called Hasla. You can go there once you're 42, I believe. And then once you're 44, you can go over and start doing this zone called the Carcasi Ridgelands. This zone, these two zones together, will get you a weapon that's good enough to get you farming, and it will get you a set of gear, be it plate or leather or cloth, that's good enough for you to farm as well. Now the biggest part of your first farm is going to be over here in Hasla. Down here at the bottom right, there's a place called the Abandoned Drill Camp. And basically the way it works is you get these tokens here, and 150 of these tokens equals a level 50 weapon. I have the sword, the shield, and the loot from that zone. You can take 5 of the other tokens and combine them together to make 5 of a specific token, which can be good sometimes if you got some gold to spend on it. But really, the best thing I think to do is just to grind out 150 of each token if you can stomach it, because really in reality you're going to want all of that stuff. Your character, no matter what role he is, can use at least 4 of the items, and if you're using a two-handed, you can use 3 of them right off the bat. And then the other stuff, you're going to want to level out all of your skills to 50 anyways, so you're pretty much going to want all the stuff that's from there. One thing about leveling, the quickest way I've found to level in this game is through crafting, and that's through making an item called Hereafter Stones. Now, Hereafter Stones are in the Masonry, and they're under Stone and Brick and Hereafter Stone. Now, Hereafter Stones are used to open up world gates to travel to locations that you record or you've been to before, so you can sell them for some money. And this is pretty much the cheapest thing that you can make that burns 50 labor at a time. The way it works is this game is a labor system where labor is the amount of crafting that you can do, and that labor refills over time. Eventually it caps out at 5,000. There's also a potion called a Vocation Tonic, which will double the amount of experience that you gain from labor. So you can take 3 stone and 1 of these, which come from a vendor, and make 3 Hereafter Stones, and that will give you at the max level 5,000 XP per craft. At lower levels it's maybe 2.5 to 3,000, but it scales with your level. So that can be, when you're leveling up, that's pretty much a guaranteed 3 or 4 levels just from burning the 5k labor. And depending on the market, you can usually sell the Hereafter Stones on the auction house back to make enough money to buy some more stone. So you're not dumping a ton of money into it. You're basically just burning your labor on it. Once you get to 50, and let's say you want to max out your other skills, right now I have level 50 defense, Oromancy, and Shadowplay, but now I'm also leveling up Vitalism, Archery, and Battle Rage. You can pretty much burn in labor is the best way to do that. You can go out and grind, but let's say the monsters that I can kill, pretty effectively over and over again might give me 2,000 or 3,000 experience, and then there's going to be a rest period between that. And each one of those stones is giving you 5,000 for 50 labor if you have a Vocation Tonic on. So it's a pretty quick way to level up the skills. The other thing is that when they start off low, the amount to level them from, let's say, 10 to 11 is very low. So if you're at 50 and you make 5,000 labor worth of stones, and you have 3 skills that start off at 10, they're going to at least be like level 25 by the time you're done from burning through 1 set of the stones. Now, a couple other things about this game. The trial system. That's one of the things I actually think is really cool about this game. Once somebody has done some naughty things, and naughty things would be killing other players who are in your faction, or perhaps when somebody plants something, you can uproot it. It basically leaves these little clickies on the ground, and if people click them, you get crime points or infamy points. Once your crime points are up to 50, if you die, you end up going immediately to a courtroom where you are put on trial by a jury of your peers. I always wondered, how do you get on those juries? Well, you can see now that under my character thing, now you're not going to have this when you first start off, but it says trials served 3, I'm in jury order 585. As long as you have 0 crime points and 0 infamy points, if you go to your zone's respective main city, in this guy's case, it would have been over here under Marianople. There was a guy, and actually on this one it was down here, right in this little area of the map. A guy who starts off a quest. Basically, it's about justice. You go through that series of quests, and then you become having the ability to be on a jury. Once you're on 5 juries, you get a cloak that looks pretty cool. I've seen a lot of people with it. And the cloak gives you plus 7 to all stats. I believe this guy probably has the cloak. Yeah, this guy has the cloak. It has this little glowy, kind of cool looking thing to it here. And that cloak will give you plus 7 to all stats. Very cool. Something that's kind of hard to figure out in this game. Most of this game revolves around a couple of things. So, this currency here, Guild of Stars, this is what you use to purchase ships, housing, different types of mounts. Those Guild of Stars are gotten through doing trade packs. And the trade packs, basically, every zone has a specialty workbench, which means that, you go to this zone, you go to your map, you go down here, I believe, and there's an option that will say specialty workbench. So over here, this one's here. Every area has a different workbench, and every workbench has something different that can be made from it. And basically, the farther that you take that pack away from that zone, the more you get. Now, the problem I have with this is that if you're doing them one at a time, you're only getting like maybe 6 gold or 5 or 6 Guild of Stars per run, and it's not very efficient. The best way to do this is to get a ship. You can put multiple of them on a ship, but then you're going to run into the risk of pirates and other people taking over your ship, sinking it. If somebody blows up your ship, and you have a bunch of trade packs on it, they'll sink to the bottom of the ocean, and anybody can grab them. So, kind of risk reward there. I like that in games, though. It's one of the things I kind of dig about this game. Now, one thing I've been doing is, there's a currency in this game. There's something that's called Thunderstruck Logs, and it's something that people use to make some of the higher end boats and vehicles in the game. So those Thunderstruck Logs sell currently for about 1,000 gold each, which is a lot of gold in this game. And the northern area of the map, referred to as Aurora, is where players can build castles and other things of that nature. Like our guild castle is over. Actually, it's down here. That's the guild castle I'm in right now. It's called We Are Legend, and our guild castle's here. Basically, what I've tried to do is find hidden areas up here at the north to plant pine trees, which I've been told are the best, and plant 100 to 200 of them at a time. Keep an eye on them, and hopefully, when they come able to be harvested, which I believe is a 2-day timer, there's a chance that they can have that Thunderstruck quality, which is 1,000 gold off the bat. The other thing is that the lumber and the wood that you get from it sells for a pretty good amount anyways, so you're going to make money from doing it. The only thing is that if somebody finds the spot that you're doing it at, they can uproot your stuff, or they can just harvest your stuff if they keep a better eye on it than you do. So, word be warned, I'm definitely not going to show you where my spot is. But I know several people are doing that, and I only pretty much log in to burn my labor and harvest that stuff right now. But I'm able to keep enough gold to function in the game. Probably the next step of what I'm going to be doing is trying to craft some of the higher end plate mail. I've recently got my metalworking up to 20,000. So that allows me to craft the illustrious plate, and I have the crafting is odd because the way it works is that you have to, in order to get, let's say that I want to craft a set of gear, so you start off with, say, a helm. You have to start off with this one and then move. Each one requires the previous one, so if you pretty much know what you're going to use leveling up, it doesn't hurt to stop and maybe craft the first couple ones. It's going to make leveling a lot easier, and you'll need it anyways if that's what you're planning on using. Right now, like I said, I'm using plate. I may want to switch that to leather. Plate's pretty much all physical. Leather is a mix between physical and magic defense, but I'm not really too concerned about the magic guys right now, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to stick with plate, because I think that most of the really strong PvP characters and arenas and stuff like that are going to be melee based, from what I've seen. Also with Oromancy, I have some built-in ways that if I come up against somebody who's using magic, I can pretty much negate a lot of the stuff they're going to do. My guy's not very well geared at all, and with my normal build I can get up close to 17,000 health. I think that if I can get some of the actual good gear, I mean that's in quest gear, if I can get some of the actual good gear and some of the good stuff in the game, I'm pretty sure I could get close to 30, 35, 40,000 health. Because I've seen guys in top-end cloth end up at 22k. So I'm pretty sure if I stack that way, I could get up that high. Pretty much it's an all or nothing thing in terms of defense. If somebody is a magic user and I go up against them, I'm only reflecting 6% of the damage. If somebody's using a physical skill, I'm reflecting 44% of the damage. It's pretty cut and dry in like a lot of games where there's kind of complicated equations going into it. And what I can notice is that, you know, when I go up against a magic user, I get hit a lot harder than if I'm going up against a physical guy. So I tend to try to avoid anybody who's doing physical damage. Now, pretty much, I can tell you now that in terms of PvP, which is what I'm interested in, the main, a pretty safe way is to have Shadow Play in your starting build. Pretty much every viable PvP class right now is using Shadow Play. It's the tree that has stealth, it has several high damage moves, it has stuns, it has the ability to jump around the screen, warp behind people, or jump away from them. And pretty much all the good PvP builds I've seen are using that. I think archery is pretty important too. Even though I didn't start with it, I'm pretty sure in a lot of the big range builds or big fights, you're gonna pretty much want to have archery, just because you know it seems like the way the game works. I haven't really seen a lot of people running around tanking and being able to be healed through multiple people beating on them. So. With that being said, I'm thinking that a lot of the bigger fights will evolve into, you know, having when people shooting each other with ranged, and then having some of the melee guys do some of the pulls. The reason I like defense right now is because it has a ability that puts a circular field around me that prevents other people from coming into it, and prevents melee shots from being gone into it. It basically locks it down so that I have a little arena to fight somebody in that they can't get out of. And that's actually a really powerful move. And I've even seen some of the magical guys in cloth take defense along with magical skills just to use that move to isolate people in fights. So you go up against a big group, maybe 3 or 4 people, you split them up, you get one guy by himself, you throw down that thing around them, and they can't get away. Some similar stuff I would have liked to know from the start. Your mount. So your mount can level up to 50. Right now mine's not 50. My other character had one that was at 50. But once you level up your mount to 50, you can actually upgrade it. And the easiest way to level your mount is like this. You hold down numlock on your keyboard and press 4 at the same time. And he just does this. It makes it so your guy runs around in circles like this, and he will gain some experience. I'll give it a second while I'm talking. Pretty much it'll pop up here in a few moments and say, you gain 300 experience. I see a lot of people go out to the Mirage Island, which is where you purchase the things with Guild of Stars, and use that ability off on one of the little animal raising areas there, and you can just leave it up all night like this. I pretty much did it once on this guy all night, and it went from like level 10 to like level 27 in one night. So it's a pretty quick way to level up your mount. So pretty much, right now, my character's in front of this zone right here. It's called Library. That's not going to be in the game at launch. That's part of the 55 level content. When the game, a lot of the other zones and stuff, they basically have, 1 second, my guy's going a little nutty. They have it so that the game goes up to 55 in a lot of other countries. If you notice, there's actually skills that are level 55 skills. Well, those aren't going to be there at launch, and neither is this library zone here. So I've pretty much tried to avoid coming here and farming from here, because I pretty much want to know what I'm going to do at launch. And if this isn't going to be here, I don't know what good it is farming from here. So it pretty much seems at launch that you want to gear up, get your quest gear, go and get those Hasla tokens as quick as you can before everybody on the server gets there. Because once everybody figures it out, that place is jammed full 24/7, like it is now. Once you got that, you're pretty much going to be stuck crafting. There's some gear that can drop from this upper zone, but it's super hard to farm, and it's not as good as crafted gear. And I've heard that there's some gear that comes from the Greater Howling Abyss, but I haven't really messed with that instance too much. But I think for the most part, if you want to have top-end gear, you're going to be crafting it. And the problem with that is that it pretty much takes long enough to be able to craft your armor, you know, depending on which one you pick. And then weapon crafting is just ridiculously hard to level up and ridiculously expensive. So you're going to probably want to make friends with somebody who's doing weapon crafting, maybe even help them out. I had suggested to this guild that maybe we should all pick one person and put all our resources into helping them get the weapon crafting up. The problem with that is that then that person has way too much sway than they should in the guild, and it's such a serious investment that, you know, it would just give the person a real big opportunity to screw you over at a moment's notice. So one of the first quests change you'll get early in the game is a series of quests from the, I believe it's the Blue Salt Brotherhood. Let me check that out. Yeah, Blue Salt Brotherhood. They'll give you a series of quests that you need to do, and pretty much the sooner you do them, the better. Basically, what the chain of quests will do is show you how to do trade packs. It'll help you get the mount that you can use at first to use while you're on a trade pack, which is a donkey. And the quest will get you your first small farm, and then the quest will get you your larger farm. Now, the only really hard, challenging part in that quest is the one where the one to get your larger farm, you pretty much have to go from continent to continent. But the good thing about it is that you actually, because a lot of people will actually sit on the docks and wait for people to come in for that quest and kill them. But if you get close to the docks, you don't actually have to turn in the pack to get credit. You can just get close and get credit. So don't think that you have to have too much stuff to do it. I mean, you technically could swim, but you're probably better off taking 50 Guild Stars and buying a small boat and just sailing across and getting it done, or finding somebody who's already done it to help you out with that. Game is very buff dependent, especially at max level. There are potions and there are healing potions and other things that are super OP. That add to your defense. There's things that reduce all incoming damage by a set number. There's healing potions that heal for a fuck ton. And when you start seeing the people that are serious at level 50 who are going around PvPing, they basically have a whole 2 lines of buffs under their guys' names, and it makes a tremendous difference. And so you really want to start getting into understanding how to make some of that stuff for yourself. Because if you buy it off the auction house, it's going to be extremely expensive, and it's probably better to have an alt or something like that after you got your 50 taken care of and you got them all maxed out on skills and everything. My opinion is that you should pretty much, anytime you're burning labor, you should be getting XP. So once you got your first 50 and you got them all skilled out, you got all the skills done, go and make an alt, and then, you know, have that guy do alchemy or something like that to make stuff to supply to your 50, and that way you can be leveling up his stuff too, in case you ever need to have an alt. You know, maybe make him on the other side of the land, or, you know, however you want to do it. You can trade stuff between different continents on the auction house. There is a 10% fee, but, you know, that's all up to you in terms of how you want to handle that. Let's go ahead and show you what a castle looks like. My guild has a castle. One of the cool things in this game is that you get these books, and you can actually inscribe locations that you've been before. It reminds me of UO, and you can open up portals to where you want to go. And it uses those hereafter stones I was talking about earlier, so people are going to always need and want those. Now the castles, if another guild challenges you and puts up enough money, they can actually fight you for your castle, and if they win, they can do whatever they want with the area and the land in it. So, pretty cutthroat system. Kind of reminds me of Shadowbane. Really, this game kind of reminds me of a cross between Shadowbane, EverQuest 2, and Ultima Online in some ways, which is why I really actually like it. This is a castle here, though. This is what the castle looks like. It's a pretty big area of land. Oh, the glider. when you first start the game, you get a pretty basic glider from the quests. Um, you pretty much would have go to Mirage Island right away, because all you need is that basic first glider, and you can buy the upgrades, and you can get a much better glider pretty quickly. You see all these farms and stuff here? This is all stuff that the people in the guild playing around the castle, so that they can, they'll put their farm or their small farm or house or whatever around the guild. And the only thing about that is that the taxes are a little more, but if you're planting trees and you're up here in Aurora, it does give a much better chance to get one of those thunderstruck trees, which will make it so you pretty much pay for what you're doing pretty quickly. Look, there's a guy up at our castle here. Cool. Yeah, like anybody can get into the castle as long as you have a glider. You can just glide right into someone's castle. There's not like some imaginary wall or something building it out. So, like, actually, a lot of times I'll be AFK farming in the using our crafting stations here to make iron ore, stuff like that, and I'll come back and be dead because people go around and check the castles for people to kill. Well, yeah. But I like that in these games. I'd rather have a game where there's some kind of risk than have it be everything is just kind of handed to you. So those are just some basic things that I kind of wish I had known starting off. We're trying to think of anything else. Oh, combos. When you start playing this game, you'll notice that a lot of the abilities will have something underneath of it. They'll basically have like a little icon. You notice how like this one here has a picture of that hand with the green behind it. That shows what it inflicts upon somebody. And then there's different things that can happen based on a combo effect, meaning like with this ability here, if the target is stunned, then it's tripped, and those things are not, they're not things that you should just take note of. Those determine how you are supposed to do your rotation, and this game is rotation, rotation, rotation. Everything is supposed to be timed down to a second. The way things work in PvP is that people time out their rotation so that it's CC, ability, CC, and they try to time it out. So basically, if you don't have a break of the right kind of breakout to get out of it, then you cannot move or do anything during the entire length of their string. And most of the time, from what I've seen, they're going to kill you if they are able to execute that correctly. So you gotta keep an eye on those combos, and pretty much there's something like 222 possible classes, but in reality there's maybe 10 or 12, because you need to have, some trees have different abilities that combo into other trees, meaning that there may be a certain proc that you get off of one tree that another tree can take advantage of. So most of the time the good viable builds are the ones that are taking as many of those procs that fit together and kind of make it make sense, and then throw it in shadow play, because pretty much anybody can use stealth and all the other abilities that come from that tree effectively. So anyways, this is my first video for Arcehage. I'm really digging the game. I'm not sure when it's going to come out. I do recommend getting the Founders Pack. You do get 75 bucks of your money worth back in currency. The betas are kind of, hit or miss. Like you come in and you can play for a while, but you end up with not a lot of time to really flesh out, how the game really works. And I don't think it's getting released until like December, from what I understand. So there's still quite a lot of time left to get to play it. Anyways, this is DarkB talking about Arcehage, and thanks for watching my video. If you guys like it, leave a comment, hit that like button. And I'll make some more from you. I was thinking about showing some of the PvP fights, and I think our guild is actually going to be sieging another guild soon to try to knock their castle down. So if you guys like to see some of that stuff like that up here, just let me know. Thanks.